It's time for Twig This Week in Google. Facebook changes everything. Google Flight Search takes off. And Zagat becomes part of Google. It's all coming up next on Twig.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for This Week in Google is provided by Cachefly. Cachefly.com.
This is Twig, This Week in Google, episode 112, recorded September 14th, 2011. Losers Like Us. This Week in Google is brought to you by Vast Conference, the ultimate in professionalism, clarity, and flexibility for your conference calls, all at one low price. For 2 Vast Conference calls free with no commitment, go to vastconference.com and use the promo code TWIG. And by Carbonite Online Backup, automatic and unlimited backup for your computer files with anytime, anywhere access. For a free trial plus 2 free months with purchase, go to carbonite.com, offer code TWIG. And by Netflix. Watch thousands of TV episodes and movies on your PC, Mac, iPad, iPhone, or TV instantly. All streamed directly to you, saving you time, money, and hassle. For your free 30-day trial, visit netflix.com/twit. It's time for Twig, This Week in Google. And I want to clarify, when we say This Week in Google, we mean Google, the cloud, Facebook, Twitter, Google+, everything that's going on, basically, because we've got 2 of the best commentators in the business to talk about all of this stuff. To my left, Gina Trapani of smarterware.org, founder of Lifehacker and programmer for thinkupapp.com. Hi, Gina.
Hi, how's it going?
Great.
Good.
Glee fan.
My favorite time of the week, Twig is.
Twig, right after Glee.
Same here.
So you get Tuesday night.
After Glee.
Tuesday
well,
night
it's not
Glee?
airing right now, so it's Twig right now.
We're in between. We're in between shows. You're absolutely right.
Soon.
Nothing wrong with reruns. Also, to my right, Jeff Jarvis, who is a professor of journalism at the City University of New York, the author of What Would Google Do, and a brand new book which is emerging like next week, right? Public Parts.
It's 27th. I put the entire introduction up in text and watch out audio on Buzz Machine this morning.
Oh, awesome. Buzz Machine.
Few shout outs to Twit in there.
Oh,
Twig
thank you.
In there.
Buzzmachine.com if you'd like to know more. And I think to read the introduction is probably a good way to. I always read the introduction to see if I want to read a book.
I actually don't like introductions. I never read them. My editor thinks I'm nuts, but I did one in this case.
I think it's nice because it sets this. It's a table setter.
It's a summary. Yeah.
Yeah.
I am Instapapering this right now.
I could.
Facebook, my son Jake told me, was my favorite part of high school. And then you say, I don't think I had a favorite part of high school myself. This is great. This is really great. I cannot wait to read this.
Thank you. So, Gina, I came back last night. I had a crappy day yesterday, and I tweeted, crappy day. I need a Glee night. And I watched the New York episode, which I'd never seen. And the great thing was people asked me on Twitter and all around, did you start watching this because of Gina? Yes, I did.
Yes, as a matter of fact.
Mission accomplished.
She's the Gleek one, the vector Gleek, the original Gleek.
I had a few listeners tell me on Google Plus that they started watching Glee sort of begrudgingly and then got hooked. So because of the show. So,
awesome.
I don't know. They got advertised too.
Awesome. And Chipotle.
Absolutely.
We did not do a show with you, Jeff, last week, right? I can't remember now. Were we missing Jeff? No, we had Kevin. We had everybody.
We had everybody. Kevin, last week. It was the week before last. Yeah.
And we did talk a little bit about 9/11, but of course it was September 8th that you posted 9/11 in the Mirror, your blog post about both you and Gina have in the past talked a little bit about your experiences because you were both in New York.
Right.
And had some very direct experiences from 9/11. Just I was curious. We did not do a big 9/11 thing on TWiT because I figured everybody and their brother was going to do that.
I was going to basically ignore it. I mean, that's wrong to say. I'm very conscious of the day, but I was not going to write about it. I was not going to do any more. I was just kind of saying, okay, I'm moving on. And that morning, on Sunday morning, I was sitting on my bed and just tweeted, oh, gee, I would be on the train right now going into the World Trade Center 10 years ago. And then I did the next one. And then I ended up doing all day, real time, my recollections from
interesting.
9/11, and I got great reaction. I got a few people who did not like it, but
there is a large group on Twitter that don't like it when you post anything.
Yes,
they say shut up, And it's like,
Yes,
oh, you follow me because I don't post very often. Is that it?
Right. So in fact, for the first time, I started blocking some people. If all you're going to do is announce you don't like me, then fine, I'll do you the favor of getting rid of me.
Yeah, I'll save you some trouble. Yeah.
But but apart from that, it was really kind of an amazing experience. And what it also threw into me, and there's a Storify there somewhere, I think.
Oh, is there? Oh, okay, because I was just going to go back and go through.
I should put up that link. But what struck me again was, what if we'd had Twitter that day? And Catherine Weymouth, who's the publisher and family representative of the Washington Post, said that it would be horrible, it would be awful, because it would be so, graphic. Well, that's reality. It's what yes, it's not filtered by the journalists, but my God, what it would be. Now, the other thing that happened to me was I was rate limited at one point. And Andy Carvin was nice enough to get to Katie Stanton, and they whitelisted me. But you think, too, what if in the middle of this event, people suddenly got rate limited as they're trying to talk to their families or trying to tell the world what's happening? Twitter now has a responsibility as a platform. And Dick Costello did say in Twitter that was a legacy of a rather crude effort to deal with abuse, and they know that they've got to be more sophisticated about it. But it was an interesting. I didn't mean to do it. I had no intention of doing it. I ended up just kind of doing it, and as always in these situations, I learned stuff.
What a nice idea. I like that.
It was a great series of tweets. And, it's interesting, that question about whether or not Twitter had been around in 2001, if it had been, you wouldn't be able to retrieve your tweets from that day because they would have been beyond Twitter's ability to go back and search. Twitter's current state is it's not a good archiving tool, and it's not a good tool for being able to do what you did, post a long series of messages because those rate limits. So sorry, I just had to get in a little bit of a plug for ThinkUp or for any sort of archiving, any kind of platform that you own and that you can archive over time. Your blog posts, you have all your old posts, right, Jeff, from when you started your
unfortunately,
your first blog?
The old design got hacked, and I've got horrible links in them, and I don't know what to do about that. I need to hire somebody to go fix it. But yes, I have them.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Twitter really is for things that are kind of fleeting. At the same time, I watched your tweets all day. I was feeling sad about the day, and I decided not to write about it, and I tried to avoid most of the media porn. But I watched your tweets going by, and I was just like, man, this is incredible. And so I love that we have these kinds of real-time tools for having these conversations in real time. But at the same time, I worry about permanence and archiving and where these things go. Where are those tweets that you posted this past 9/11 going to be next 9/11? I hope that Twitter kind of steps up with that.
It's a problem, Gina, in all kinds of ways, right? In digital media at all. When I interviewed Elizabeth Eisenstein, who's the key Gutenberg scholar, she came to an interesting defense of the book. She said floppy disks aren't going to be around in 500 years like the Gutenberg Bible is. That paper has much more permanence, and we do not have that kind of crypt of information. Dave Weiner talks about how you have, your personal digital legacy. What if I had been tweeting that day? What if, God forbid, as I came close to, I gotten killed? What's your legacy that lives on? How does that live on online? We're so fleeting in how we think digitally, and there are some advantages to being fleeting. It's Google Plus kind of going away is all right too. But and I actually think that that Google Plus being fleeting may be a factor in fewer trolls there, because it's not worth it to schmutz. Oops.
There goes your camera.
Boing. So where is the Storify of this? If I go to storify.com/Jeff Jarvis, will I find it?
Yeah. If you just Google Jeff Jarvis Storify 9/11, you'll find it.
Okay. There's quite a few of these. Holy cow! You've used this a lot. So Storify is a way.
No, it wasn't me. It's
somebody else did it.
Those are ones I did. Somebody else did it for me. Yeah. If you Google Jeff Jarvis Storify 9/11, you'll find the first one.
What do you think, Gina, about? Look, ThinkUp app is great, but not everybody can run the server.
It's not a practical solution for most users, for sure.
And so there's no. But eventually there will be, I suppose, if you run a server and make it a public server or something like that. Is this another way to do it? This seems like, so Mary Bjornaby did this.
This is highly manual.
She did it by hand.
But it's very manual.
Okay.
It needs some UI. Yeah, it doesn't. It's a way to present a conversation or a narrative.
You know what I like about it, though, is it's in chronological order. I have to read Twitter upside down.
Right. She did that.
Yeah. So
And
she
I'm
cut
very
and
grateful
paste.
to her for doing that.
Yeah,
Very.
and now this is preserved beyond Twitter's ability to preserve.
I mean, I guess you could liken it to if we have a conversation on the street and it affects one of us, one of us has to take the time to write it down or store it someplace, to remember it, right? But a lot of conversations aren't remembered. I guess Twitter is kind of the same way. And I think Storify is a great way to take a collection of tweets and make them, hand curate them and make them readable. And I think there are going to be lots of tools to do this kind of thing. But
I use a tool, this is weird, that puts my tweets into my Google Calendar as a calendar entry.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's cool. I have seen that.
And I presume it stays there as long as my Google Calendar doesn't wipe them off.
It's another cloud question, yeah. But
yeah. It's kind of interesting. It's not good for this because you have hundreds of posts from one day. But if you don't post to Twitter like dozens of times a day, this is nice because it also has the timestamps, which Twitter has now lost.
Yes.
They'll just say September 11th. So you actually sat there all day and did this?
No, I was in and out. When I got rate limited, I went out for my run, and I came back, and then I filled in what would have happened in the interim in Google Plus. But there were large once the South Tower came down and I escaped that. There were large chunks of time of just nothing but walking.
You know what I find really interesting? I agree with you on the media porn, Gina. I thought a lot of the media coverage was, self-serving. There were some moving things. Seeing Paul Simon sing Sounds of Silence at Ground Zero, I'm bawling my eyes out.
Yeah.
But in general, a lot of it just didn't seem like great coverage. But this, which is it's a totally new medium and a new way of, who would have ever thought of this? This is surprisingly powerful.
When Private Parts was on cable, Howard Stern did a real-time background back channel of the things that he remembered and did at the making of the movie, which was a really interesting way to use Twitter. So if you were watching the movie while you were watching Twitter, it became a new channel. Now, meanwhile, The Guardian...
So that's like a DVD commentary.
Right, through Twitter.
In text on
it's a
Twitter.
social experience. You could ask him questions and he'd answer.
And it's social. Wow. That's
The Guardian did something else. The Guardian created a new Twitter account and did nothing but act as if it was that day. And they had to stop it because people were so angry.
Oh.
Because it's more of the world's problem.
Right.
Right? Steward, a plane crashes. What? And it wasn't evident that it was past tense. So it's really interesting that we're, again, all these tools, we're trying to figure out what they can do and what we can do with them.
There have been some amazing uses of Twitter. There's the diary of a girl from the 19th century that day by day the entries in the diary are posted. There's, of course, the fake Darth Vader and all of that, which I find quite amusing. Stuff my dad says, which became a book. But it's also temporary.
Yeah,
which is the nature, I guess, of everything now on the net. That's what goes on. Gina, I love it that you've addressed this in some way.
Yes.
Well, I think I've spent a lot of time writing on Twitter just because it's so easy, and I've had some really good conversations on Twitter, and I've gotten some awesome insight and interesting information on Twitter, and I just don't want to lose it. And I don't know, maybe I think that I think that 9/11, especially this whole never forget, always remember thing. It really made me think about. I think that forgetting sometimes is good, and having conversations that just sort of dissipate into the wind, into your memory, are good. But something like this, what Jeff did, I was like, this is an incredible first-person account happening kind of real time. This is something that I know that Jeff has written about this a lot in other mediums, but I thought, wow, I'd love to have this all in one place. And I think it's great that someone put together the Storify.
But I hope I never do this again now. I've done it around the time I recorded something. I've written about it. I hope that's it for me. I'm not trying to get away from 9/11, but just say, okay, it's my litany. I've done it. I've lived in the past enough.
Yeah, it's time. It's time. I think the 10-year really was for me anyway. It's time to, and I can't. I'm coming to New York next month. I cannot wait to see Tower One and those beautiful triangles.
Did you make a reservation for the memorial?
I heard that they're booked through September. I haven't made the reservation yet, but we lost a family friend, and I want to see his name, so I have to. I'm gonna have to make a reservation. It's gonna be mid-October, so we'll see. If I can get in there.
Go look. Hey, tweeters, Twiggers, let Gina do it first, then you can go. You can go to the site, and I'm seeing it on September 22nd. That's when I got in, and they give every half hour there's a time, and
so you have to make a reservation to even approach the memorial.
To be inside the memorial, yes. I came up the PATH station as I did 10 years ago yesterday. And it's kind of wacky because you come. I write in the Twitter feed about how I came up that day and it was silent, and it was never silent in the concourse of World Trade Center, and it was a different sound. And I came up then yesterday up to the top of the escalator again, and suddenly I heard water, which was really weird. I don't even know why it was there. It was a memorial, but that was very strange. It was a whole new sound, and it affected kind of the mood of everything, because the memorial is now, you can't see it, but you hear it around. It's very interesting.
Wow, I don't know what to think. I mean, of course, there's the 9/11 story, which is great, it's powerful and important. But there's also this new media and social media story around it. And Facebook and Twitter, as you say, weren't there. Google Plus, would Google Plus have been a better medium than Twitter? Do you think, for recording this, Jeff? Why did you not use Google Plus?
Because it's not chronological in any way. It breaks the chron.
Because of the comments?
Not so much that. It's just I think it's just that
you could have made it without comment. You could have turned off comments.
It's not that. It's the lack of chronology, because it breaks the chron and moves.
Oh, because it rearranges it. It wouldn't stay in order.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. And also, the funny thing is, when I don't know if you find this true too. If I just have that little Twitter-like observation, that's too little for Google Plus. Don't you feel? I feel like you got to write something or share something of some note on Google Plus, like a blog post. I'm not going to do a one-line blog post saying, "Hey, did you ever?" Kind of a Jerry Seinfeld joke. Did you ever think? Well,
I've done Twitter-length posts on Google Plus, and I agree with you. You don't see very many of them.
No.
I don't know if it's so bad. The comments have been, I did a Jerry Seinfeld. I said, "Why is it that they?" I was cooking breakfast. The smoke alarm went off. I said, "Why is it they always put a smoke alarm in the kitchen?" and there was actually some good comments follow up from that, like my kids consider it their wake up. The smoke alarm goes off, it means breakfast is ready.
I agree. I feel a little more pressure. I feel pressure to write a little more on Google Plus. I think that's why I haven't been as active, because I don't feel like I can. So I feel like I need to have a really good link with an image and something clever to say about it. So it feels like a little more pressure because there's more room. But at the same time, the feedback is amazing on Google Plus, and you just get so many comments and such great conversations going on that Twitter just can't.
It really is good.
This is where photographers have a great advantage, because they just post an image, and that's enough. That's considered enough, right?
Yep.
Right. And here's one that just says "Breathe, just breathe" from Lotus Carol, and that's all you have to do. And then she's got 15 comments, 37 pluses, 3 shares, so they have a real advantage. One picture is worth 1,000 words on Google Plus.
Well, I know we'll get to Facebook in a second, but it's interesting. What fascinates me about the changes that Facebook's been doing yesterday, today, and a few weeks ago, and Twitter and Google Plus is I think we're starting to come to kind of a consensus of how we look at interaction online. Right, the notions of following of asynchronous. Now Facebook's going to be asynchronous too, which we'll explain in a minute. The idea of control at the point in time of sharing, these kinds of things start to. We're seeing a commonality. You could argue it's just copycat and theft, but I don't think so. I think it's things are emerging as standards and ways that we want to share and use these things. Now, even so, we use all 3 of those services differently, and probably will for a long time. But there's a commonality in terms of expectations that I find fascinating.
Yeah, I totally agree. Different cultures, but same kind of mental models around actions. Whether it's a like or a favorite or a +1, we all know that that's the way to say, hey, this is something I like, or way to go to the user. And even just sharing links, having like the title and a description and a thumbnail. That those look very similar on Facebook and Google Plus. So and even Twitter's kind of getting there with some of the embedded media. But it's really nice to see commonly understood interface mechanisms for users, across these services.
Well, let's take a break and come back, and we will talk about the new Facebook. But before we take a break, a word from the Winklevoss twins.
Hey, that's a good idea. What?
cracking it like that could be huge. Think someone will steal it?
The Winklevoss twins?
Who'd do that?
Do it cautiously. Pistachios.
That's one way to capitalize on it. Who do that? We shall return in just. I think that's just great. Those pistachio nuts ads have been very clever. Makes me want to eat one. Let us take a break and talk about a brand new sponsor. We want to welcome Vast Conference to our program. It's always nice to have a new sponsor on our Twitch shows, and Vast Conference is great. It's a conference call system that's absolutely free. If you go to vastconference.com and use the offer code TWIG, you can set it up literally in 60 seconds. And then once you start having conference calls, 2.5 cents per minute. You can use a toll-free number for only another 3.5 cents a minute. These are great for audio conference calls. Let me just show you. I'm logged into my my conference here, and I'll just show you the dashboard's fantastic. Now you see I haven't made any calls on this account yet. This is a new account I created for the show. I didn't want you to see everything, but this is how easy it is to do. You can record the conference calls, which is fantastic. You can give out a dial-in number that's always the same. Makes it very easy to that's your number. You can clear connections when you and your participants call in. The connections are very clear. It's not VoIP based; it's phone based, and you can have huge conference calls from up to 300 callers at the same time, which I think is very cool. They use fiber optic lines, high-end teleconferencing equipment. This is not VoIP. This is really good quality phones, and the management information is just fantastic. I want you to take a look at it. Vastconference.com. They're giving our audience an exclusive deal. 2 free conference calls up to 300 minutes to give you a chance to try out the service. Now, the minutes are per caller. So 2 calls times 5 callers times 30 minutes would be 300 minutes. You get it? Go to vastconference.com, sign up for your free account, and they'll give you a regular toll number and an 800 number for people to call. And you can start calling right now. Use the promo code TWIG when you sign up so that you get your 300 minutes free. Vastconference.com. Very nice. So I'm afraid I'm not following all this Facebook stuff. What's going on Facebook? They've added a subscribe link. That's wild. Are we seeing it yet, or is it?
Yeah, you can go now and you can turn it on, and this adds to they did new list stuff yesterday, which of course follows circles. The subscribe is really interesting,
and it's automated. The lists are automated, right?
They're suggestive.
Suggested,
I think, and you can manage them, right? And so what this adds up to is that, Facebook is giving you more control over what appears on your page. It's giving you more control over whom you share with. Slight grammatical violation there. And it now gives people the ability to subscribe to you, but there's new controls on both sides of that.
Look at this. There's poll questions, too. That's kind of new.
Yeah. So
Facebook questions.
Yeah.
You can say that this goes just to the circle of friends, or you can say this goes to the public, those who subscribe to me. So it's a far more public Facebook, but you have more control over that publicness. Interestingly, the subscriber... Right? If Gina subscribes to me, she can say, I really don't want to hear any more from that bozo, but I want to see his pictures. She could subscribe only to my photo.
Ah, that's interesting.
But what this becomes is Facebook becomes asynchronous. Right?
Yeah, this is a really big change to their model of relationships. It's huge.
So you still have that, and you still have the ability to publish and share with just those people in your synchronous world, but from the same platform, the same profile, you can now share with others. And they told me, and I went through the call with them yesterday, and I said, what about like an author? And their view is that if you're Leo Laporte or an author or someone who updates your own stuff as an individual, you probably get rid of your fan page. This now substitute for that. If you're a company, you can't have a profile page, so you have a fan page instead.
Right.
But if you're a person, people should be able to follow you, and this becomes your tool for sharing in all kinds of new and richer ways.
This is something you have to opt into. You go to the subscriptions page, and you say, allow subscribers. Now people can, who are not in your circle of friends, anyone can now subscribe to me. Allow anyone to comment on your public updates. All right, what the hell? and notifications, get notified about these new subscribers. Well, I already, by the way, Facebook kind of automatically made me start to get digest emails, which is actually, I would have done that anyway. I don't like it, notifications, but so I don't have to worry about that. So now people can subscribe. Have you done that, Jeff, to your Facebook?
Yeah, I did it, so you can subscribe to me.
Well, let me do that. Let me go to Jeff. Now, I'm a friend of yours, so presumably... Would I have had this subscribe message?
Are you you could go to Brian Stelter, for example. He just turned his on, or Matthew Ingram.
Because you're a friend, I'm already subscribed.
You're already subscribed, right? Exactly. But I don't know if you're a friend of Brian Stelter.
I am not. So now I have subscribed to Brian's updates.
Now you can subscribe to him.
Brian allows anyone to subscribe. Okay, so I subscribe to him. So now, does he just appear in my news feed as if I were a friend?
You can also, I don't know where you do it. You can also set a level for him. You can say, give me everything Brian says.
Wow.
You can say, give me the chosen amount as you would in the news feed now, or give me only certain media types. I don't know where you get to those controls. I've lost sight of that. But that's really interesting. Now, again, the problem with Facebook is that often it could get way too complicated.
Right.
But as Gina said, what was that mental map you said, Gina? I like that.
Yes, just kind of the mental model of the UI.
So I'm
so
Leo G. Laporte on Facebook. Now, I have a fan page, which is the Leo Laporte, but you could also go to Leo G. Laporte, and that's my regular page, and follow all my private updates. But so now I have to rethink my private updates, because I've been putting in stuff like what gas station I'm at.
Well, but that's no, people won't see that.
They won't see that.
They'll only see your public updates.
You post now. You can post to a circle of, a list of friends, or you can post to the public. See that public.
Now everything I do is public, so I'm gonna have to rethink that. This is interesting. Now, let me ask another question. Gina, are you doing this?
Well, actually, it's interesting. I have a page. I have a Facebook page for me, which is my public stuff. And I told, everyone, that's what you find when you find me. But that you're looking at right now is my private profile that only friends can see.
Right. So I don't get a subscribe button
now, but
No.
Well, no, because I have myself set. I have my user profile set. So I was using Facebook as there was my private profile and my page was public.
And here's your public page.
And that's my public page, right?
Which, by the way, I haven't liked yet.
Well, and that I kind of type blog posts and Twitter, tweets without hashtags or @ signs too.
Right.
So it's interesting. This gives me the ability. It gives anyone the ability. I mean, any person, individual who has a fan page can actually ditch the fan page. Except I don't want to ditch my fan page because I've got a few hundred people following it.
And you don't have
and combine it with your profile.
Well,
so
and then I have a fan page as well, which is the Leo Laporte, and there's 4,000 people on that. So you're right. Now we got a question here, right?
I mean, the other interesting thing about Facebook is that it automatically sucks in pages from Wikipedia. So there's a Wikipedia page about me. So there's also a Wikipedia-based page about me on Facebook. So that means that there are 2 pages and 1 private profile. So
did you do that, or does that do that automatically?
No, that happened automatically. I didn't do that. That just showed up. I'm sure the 2 of you probably have the same.
How would I find that?
It's called a community page. Let's see if I just search for Leo.
That's really okay. By the way, this is why Facebook has a problem, because it's so hard to keep up with this stuff. Now I see recommendations in here, which is kind of a LinkedIn style on my fan page. Easy for people to recommend your place to their friends. This is just.
Well, I don't understand. What's that?
Okay, let's learn more. These are places.
Children.
This is places, I guess.
Oh.
But I don't know how I have a place. Oh boy, this is why people don't like Facebook.
This is
so confusing,
so engineering. Yeah.
Now I gotta say one thing that I don't know if I'll get this with the new thing is notice all the stats I'm getting. So the raw number of impressions on the story, the number of comments and likes per impression.
Right, that's you get that with your page. That's really nice.
This is handy, exactly.
Because you are kind of a business in and of yourself, right?
So,
I mean,
so I want to see.
An author or a freelancer, right? So you want to see that stuff.
By the way, the biggest feedback I've received, whose idea was it to put the smoke detector so close to the kitchen? More people fed back to that than anything I've posted in ages. So there you go, right? I'm using a tool that actually cross-posts from Google Plus to Twitter and Facebook.
Right.
Now, is anyone giving you crap for that?
Well, nobody knows.
Oh.
But when I post something, this is you see, I have this I can also share it on Facebook or on Twitter. And I can even set the Facebook settings and what pages I want this to go to. This is actually a great little extension. So,
Which extension is that?
it's this one, Publish Sync.
Oh, publishing. I just posted a link to your Wikipedia community page in the doc chat.
Oh, thank you. All right.
If you, I don't know if you haven't seen it.
Hide the, yeah, there we go. Hide the screen, and I'm going to now go to the doc. Oh, it's in the doc chat.
Yep.
Yeah, cool. Facebook.com/pages/Leo Laporte. So this happens, is this something Wikipedia does?
This is Facebook's community pages, and I didn't do anything for it to happen for me. I think it just pulls in pages from Wikipedia.
That's weird. I got more followers on this one than my other one.
You're kidding.
Yeah, it's interesting, right?
And I didn't even know it existed. I also don't know who's posting to it. Apparently it's not me.
That's funny. I don't see posts on it, Leo.
I post related posts by friends.
Oh, Dick Roberto.
Yeah. That's very strange.
So if the three of us are confused by all these things in Facebook,
Yeah.
my in-laws are definitely going to be
Automatically creating a page on Facebook is weird that I didn't know about.
Yeah, do you see that it says from Wikipedia? And it's there's a description with your kind of Wikipedia summary?
Yeah, at the bottom there's a Wikipedia summary.
Yeah.
But that was stuck in there.
It's funny because I don't see the posts.
So does somebody, maybe the chat room, does somebody know how this happens?
Yeah, related posts.
Is Mark Zuckerberg in the chat room? Magic, thank you. MXX in the chat room explained this all. And those posts are posts that mention me, and that's why, because my name is mentioned in there. And he probably used that automatic drop-down thing to make that name, show up. Wow.
So does this go, Gina, back to what you were saying when I said suddenly Facebook is async? Mm-hmm. Do you explore that a little bit farther about how this changes the model? Is this a big deal?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a huge deal because Facebook's whole thing was that you could only friend someone who would friend you back, and there was all these these social implications of that. And I had a hard time figuring out how to use Facebook, and so that's why I made the public page, and then I have my private circle of friends. This makes Facebook a lot more like Twitter and a lot more like Google Plus.
If you turn it on. I mean, you don't have to turn it on.
If you turn it on, right. So you can say people can subscribe to me or not. So it makes a lot more Facebook data, Facebook content public facing. So I guess my question is, if I'm not logged into Facebook and I go to somebody's page who has allowed subscriptions, can I see public posts without logging in?
That's a good question. Because even before all this, right, you could post to public. The thing was, nobody could find you. No one was following you. There was no structure for that, right?
Right.
So
right.
I don't know what the legacy position. I should have asked that. Whether the stuff that you had public before is still obviously public, because it always was.
Wow.
What's the definition of public before and the definition of public now?
Even Kevin Rose is confused. Look at this post on Facebook. Anyone know how to convert Facebook fan pages to subscribers? He's got the same point we do.
Right, it's the same problem, yeah.
Now we have subscribers. Let me just use that. And then there doesn't seem to be a... well, wait a minute. Facebook.com/public figures. Absolutely blank. Thank you very much. Oh, no, there it is.
There we go.
If you are a business, you can only use a page. If you are an individual who wants to share updates with a larger audience, you may want to use a profile with subscribers. Public figures, like Malcolm Gladwell, can use a profile with subscribe, a page, or both.
Like he would. Why do they use him as the example?
Why Malcolm Gladwell, of all people?
The guy who says all this is crap and not useful. Why, Facebook, do you pick Malcolm Gladwell?
That's pretty funny.
It was with irony, I hope.
I think there's a little irony there. So this explains what the differences are. You can download a subscriptions guide or Pages Best Practices. Oh, this is, at one point does this become ridiculously complicated? Now, admittedly,
we're at that point.
Admittedly, if you're just a user, you have a Facebook page, you don't even know that any of this is happening, right? Or care.
Right.
Does it change? Okay, so this is the question. Does it change for just an average, the high school junior who is keeping track of her friends on Facebook? Does this change her life in any way?
Her default remains
Her default
as it was,
private
right?
still. She's not unless she inadvertently says, turns on subscriptions.
So wasn't the big difference between pages and profiles is that there was a limit to how many friends you could have as a profile, but pages you could have any number of. So
and it was async.
And it was async. Someone could like your page or follow your page without you. Right. So subscribers, I assume that there's no limit on how many people could subscribe to your public posts.
I would presume as well. It's the same thing. Let's look at the subscriptions guide. Jeez Louise. Allow people to subscribe to your personal profile. Many personal public figures use profiles to connect with. Now, when you allow people unlimited number of subscribers, and you can update them from your mobile phone. How to get subscribers? All right. Should I use a personal profile with subscribers, a page, or both? Okay. I guess this is an issue we probably don't have to spend a lot of time on because most people aren't going to worry about this. This is for public figures, right? Or would they? Now, that's a question. The same kind of person who has a Twitter account and a Google Plus account, and I'm sure Facebook's considering this, maybe they would use Facebook and subscribers instead and say, just do it all on one page.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, you can make the argument that everyone's a public figure these days.
How do I tell people, and this is a big issue, how do I tell people where they can find me on Facebook? You could personalize it.
Well, you get the /Leo Laporte, right? Your Facebook /Leo Laporte, you got that, right?
Right. Well,
Which
I didn't get Leo
better
Laporte.
than your Google Plus profile.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, that's right. You Google Plus, you don't have a magic name, do you? Now,
right. So you can just share your Facebook URL, which is nice.
Right.
You can choose your URL and you can just say, "Hey,
let's see if they've changed that." So my username is already set to Leo G Laporte for my personal, and then they have pages, but they don't have. Boy, they should kind of maybe update this to say somehow something to do with subscriptions. I guess I could just change my username. No, I guess I can't. They're not giving me that option.
Leo Laporte and 2 other friends have started getting subscribers.
Oh, did you get a note? Oh, that's interesting.
Top of my newsfeed right now.
Oh, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. You turn on notifications?
For subscribers?
Yeah.
I haven't even enabled subscribers yet because I haven't.
Oh, you haven't? Oh, I see. Oh,
I haven't. I tend to.
You may not want to.
Pretty quiet. I think I only have notifications for if someone tags me in a photo or sends me a message.
You may not want to.
But yeah, no, I have to decide whether if I want to ditch all my page followers for subscribers, and my profile has always been this kind of private thing, so it's going to be interesting to mix both public and private content. But I'm doing it on Google Plus now, so that feels a little more natural.
Exactly. I mean, you can imagine being Lady Gaga and actually having a private area and being public using the same tool. I mean, that's what they want. They want to be the platform for interaction, not publishing. Interaction, conversation.
Right.
This every time they do something like this, it always feels like, Mark says Mark knows what's best. Do what Mark says, and everything will be okay.
I mean, it feels like really interesting. I mean, not only do I like that there are becoming these standards and these models for interaction, that are kind of standard across these services, but it feels like a big admission on Facebook's part, hey, this is a really good mechanism, something that we've avoided for a really long time. But Twitter and Google Plus to some extent have proved that people want to follow versus have that two-way friending. And the list thing as well I feel like was definitely kind of a nod in Google Plus's direction, saying, okay, you know what, people making lists is useful, and we want to make that action as fun as possible. I think those are all good things.
Somebody has made a page for my shirts. So this is the problem, is anybody can do anything, right?
Right.
Already I have 48 fans. Or my shirts do. I like it. All right, moving along. By the way, we know that Facebook is incredibly sticky. I mean, there's certainly that. Nielsen, which is apparently trying to get moved from the rating of television to social media, put out a report that said that Facebook, in the month of July, let me see if I can find these exact figures for you. had a total of way larger than anybody else.
Yeah,
53
really
billion. Now this isn't your number, is it?
No, you're safe.
53. Every time I do a number, 53 billion total minutes in the month of May. That's so far beyond the number 2, which was Yahoo at 17 billion minutes, Google 12, AOL 11, and MSN, Windows Live, and Bing 9. That's amazing.
Right. So take Google out of that because Google is a utility, right? The difference here is that those other 3, and mind you, all the media companies below think their business is content, whereas Facebook enables the world to make content.
Interesting. It is content, isn't it? It's a content site.
I don't know if I said this on the show before. If I did, Eileen can hit the zap in my ear. You didn't know we had that, did you guys?
You're the only one she ever uses it on.
I know. So no, you just turned me off with the monitor.
No, it was like, what's Zap?
Zap, Gina.
I had lunch with a former network president, news president, some months ago, and he said, Facebook and Google use our content to make their stuff. And they don't respect our content. And I said, no, they respect content more than you do because they respect the idea that more people can make it than you do. You think content is only what you make.
Right.
Facebook says the stuff that everybody does, yeah, that's content, and there's value in it. In fact, we're going to exploit it really well for advertising and services and targeting and all this stuff. And so, Facebook, but it's not a platform for content. It's a platform for conversation, and the conversation happens to be content, I think.
It's very interesting. We're going to take a break, come back. There are some Google acquisitions to talk about, a new Google service that's very interesting, and a lot more. Gina Trapani's here from smarterware.org, from buzzmachine.com, Mr. Jeff Jarvis. Before we go much farther, let's tell you to back up your stuff. It's so important, and Carbonite makes it easy. They do it right, but they have home and business now, by the way. But for the home user, $59 a year for unlimited backup, all the data on your internal drive, secure file transmission, 128-bit SSL, secure file storage, you hold the key, and boom, that's the disaster that just happened. No, I like it. I like it. Because, you see, we all have so much important stuff on our computers, on our hard drives, our images, our financial records, our email. And what could happen to that stuff? Boom. And then it's lost forever, even if you're backing up right next to your computer. That's why Carbonite is such a great idea. You can try it free for 2 weeks right now. You don't even need a credit card. Just you need our name, and that's it. If you go to carbonite.com, use the offer code TWIG, you'll get 15 days without any expense or obligation on your part. See how it works for you. It uses your internet connection, so whenever you're connected, and by the way, that doesn't just have to be at home. If it's a laptop, as you go around to cafes and so forth, it'll be backing up when you're at the Starbucks. The recovery is simple. It's even cloud storage, because you can log on to your Carbonite account from any device, including a smartphone or a Android device or a tablet, and see your data. All your stuff's there. It's fantastic. You can access any file, anywhere, anytime, completely privately, completely securely, and when the disaster happens, and it always does, you can always get it back. They've restored 7 billion files to date. If you use the offer code TWIG when you sign up for the trial, use it again when you buy, because you'll get 14 months for the price of 12. Carbonite.com, and don't forget Carbonite Business for your small business. It's a great solution for people with multiple computers in multiple locations. Carbonite.com. Boom! You got to back it up to get it back. I just can't believe I have a Leo Laporte's shirts Facebook. Google buys Zagat for $125 million. I'm very happy for Tim and Nina, the owners of Zagat. Why did Google buy Zagat? Your theories. First of all, I want to say I've been using Zagat since it was the thin red book. When I go to New York or any big city, I'd pull out the Zagat. Then I bought it on my iPhone, and I bought it on my Android. It's $10, but it's worth it, because anywhere you are, you say, here's where I am, what's the best? I used it in Paris and found great restaurants. I am a Zagat fan.
I am too, and it's quite an old company, right? I mean, it's been around for
It's a paper company. They make
much longer than Google. Yep. Yeah, they make books. It's crazy. I felt like this had a lot to do with a story that we covered a few episodes ago about how Google pulled data from their Places pages that they pulled from places like Yelp and other kind of local local services. I mean, I think this is just about Google wanting to own a lot of that data, that review data, and to be able to enhance their local services.
Remember that they tried to buy Yelp and were rebuffed.
Right, that's true.
They tried to buy Groupon and were rebuffed. So I think 125 million is cheap for Google.
Do we know who though caused the dropping of the Yelp data? Was that initiated by Google, or was that initiated by a complaint with Yelp?
I don't know. I think Zagat is a better brand name than Yelp. You asked me that question. Do I use Yelp or Zagat? I would, if I have the choice, always use Zagat.
What's interesting to me is my fear about this purchase is that if it's viewed as a content company, Google should not be in the business of owning content companies. It puts them in channel conflict with all of the recipients of all the links they give. And they will get accused of favoring their, this content company over competitors, and so on and so on. However, I'm hoping that Google, being Google, would look at Zagat as a platform. It's a means to get better reviews that are filtered more, which is exactly what you just said, Leo, than Yelp. That they have a system for doing that. And if you could scale Zagat and its systems out to reviews of lots and lots and lots and lots of local things across all platforms, which Zagat has too, right? They have reviews of spas and other stuff. I'm sure you use those often too, Leo. Then, Google can have a platform for quality reviews of local places done by us, the people. That, I hope, is where Google would head here. If they just say, oh, well, they did a neat thing of getting cheap content, and we're going to put the content up, and screw Yelp, we're never going to link to them, that'd be a problem.
Remember, when they tried to buy Yelp, I think if they were rebuffed, but I'm not sure, they created Hotpot. Do you remember Hotpot?
Oh, God, yeah. Jeez.
Yeah.
That's still there. Look, here's my Hotpot account. And if I go there, it says, hey, because you like Central Market, you might like Graffiti or Dempsey's. These are restaurants in Petaluma with ratings, reviews.
Jesus, I forgot entirely about that.
So I think they might end up in channel conflict. That's interesting. I hadn't thought about that. I think that what this does is it gives a brand. I think they're buying a brand name. I think it gives a brand name to what they're already doing in places, in Hotpot, in other. Remember, they had Yelp reviews in places, and then they were forced to drop them, right?
I thought that they had voluntarily. I thought there was a lawsuit and that they had pulled them out.
I think you're right.
That they had volunteered to pull them out. Yeah, I really wonder. I mean, is the Zagat brand going to go away? I agree that this was a brand buy.
Not the content, because they've got content, but if you could brand their content with a quality brand, might it not rub off?
But isn't the way Zagat works that they have guides and like highfalutin foodies and critics who give their ratings? I mean, this isn't a crowdsourced. I mean, Yelp is
no. Zagat is crowdsourced.
Oh, it is. It is totally.
But in
crowdsourced.
a controlled way. You got to. It's a higher bar than just saying I hated the burrito.
Right.
Right. You've got to fill out a whole form. You have to get. I don't know if you get approved or not. There's, it's kind of Google-like. I mean, they basically had a manual algorithm of how people got in and how they ranked them and did things. Back in the day, it was a very old-fashioned company. It was printing closed, expensive books. I know from my days at Connie Nash, they had to kind of get dragged onto online. Then they got very appy and all that, but they still sell products behind a paywall. And at least at first, they're not going to make it free. They're still going to be paid.
Yeah, I'm curious. I imagine at some point Google will make it free. So right now, if you go to Zagat.com, you get a directory, but not the reviews. Those are all locked. And to unlock the ratings, you have to pay for it, essentially. I have to tell you, the ratings are so good and so valuable that I do. Oh, wait a minute, I'm getting some ratings here. Vino showed up for some reason. It's a sample, I see, of premium content. I absolutely trust it. I trust it more in foodie areas, for instance, in San Francisco or New York or Paris, than I do in less foodie areas. I won't name names, but Indianapolis leaps to mind. Generally.
But wait, still hold right there. I mean, Carrabba's. See, it used to be that for Zagat, you'd be at higher end restaurants.
Well, it's not sorted. It's sorted by relevance, not by.
And now it's become broader already. Carrabba's is. I like Carrabba's is very good. Good.
It's not fancy, but it's in a strip mall.
But it's a chain. Yeah, it's.
So this is interesting. Now I don't think that that's interesting, huh? Notice we have a Google ad. Google offers beta right at the front, at the top, which is their Groupon, right? Oh, so it looks like what's going on is Google rebuffed in its acquisitions, created its own, and then maybe a less expensive acquisition, buying Zagat for the brand name.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting. I mean, they should keep the brand, unlock all the reviews, and build those Zagat reviews into Google Place pages, and that will make Google Place pages extremely valuable.
But what about Jeff's point about channel conflict? Because
it's a good point. It's a really good point. I mean, we had kind of a similar conversation around the airline data, which we also have a big,
look
big
at
story about that.
Google Flight Search, because that's really this is the ITA acquisition that Google made.
This is a really nice flight search.
I think if I were Kayak or Hipmunk, I'd be a little worried.
Yes.
Expedia?
Well, I don't know, because can you book? I don't think you can book. It's only a
search.
What is the URL? It's not flights.
Google.com/flights.
Flights. No urch.
Or you could just put a search in saying flights from San Jose to, and it would
Right, the Bing thing. So it decided.
It has so many nice UI elements. Like, look at that. It knows where you are. It has the drop down of where you want to go, kind of already extended.
Yeah.
It's
look
got
at this.
These really neat UI elements.
I can change the sliders here. If I increase the price, can I reduce the duration? Okay, let's get the shortest flight I can. That's the shortest flight I can get. And there it is. It's very interesting. It's very engineering focused, isn't it?
Yes, very much. I mean, those interactive data visualizations
highly geeky,
are super geeky.
Yeah.
And you can change. Yeah, like look at that. I love that graph. If you change the dates, you can see how the fare changes. So go on that calendar and move those dates around, and you'll see what the median price, how the median price changes.
It's going down. It's going up. It's actually, you need this because the airlines. It's so freaking complicated.
Because it's so hard, right?
They're using programmatic algorithms to determine pricing. You better darn well have a computer on your side if you're going to get the best price.
So Google is not booking tickets, right?
I don't think so. Let's see. Let's take this ticket, and
let's imagine that it never will. In which case, it could really disrupt.
It books it, but it sends it to JetBlue.
Well, it's interesting. It's labeled as an ad. Look, ads, JetBlue.
No, it says airline site.
When you with that red book button.
Oh, it says ad.
Yeah. So I don't know what that means.
Ooh,
I don't know if
weird.
JetBlue is getting.
But wait a minute, though. If I look, let's say, let's change the parameters to. Are these only ad-based bookings? Well, I'm getting JetBlue. Maybe they are. Oh, it's because it's Oakland and New York. Let's go from SFO.
I've seen tons of other airlines.
Yeah. It's just because that was the airline. Okay, so let's see. Let's book this Continental. Let's say the return flight. Book it. Ads. Maybe that's their way of saying, look, we're going to make a little money off of this if you make this purchase. But here's everybody does.
Are they? So then, what Google could do with this much data is it could really do things like do alerts when prices go down, tell us when prices tend to go down.
Yeah.
It could make transparent this horribly opaque system.
Absolutely.
Wouldn't that be great?
It would be beautiful, but if their bread is buttered by the airlines, this goes back to channel conflict in a different way, right? The conflict they have in life now by being in bed with Verizon was that they went away against net neutrality, and they were not user focused in that. They were telco focused. In this, where is their interest going to be? Is it going to be traveler focused, or which would be the old Google, or is it going to be airline focused because they're the advertiser?
So now one thing I should point out is that locations outside the U.S. are not supported.
Oh.
I can fly to Honolulu, so I guess it's just the U.S. of A., not the continental United States.
Dream on, Leo.
I am. Believe me.
Jeff, that's the big question. Is Google's customer the web user or is it the advertiser, right? And this is the continual conversation about Google. The haters say that the customer is the advertiser, and the folks who trust and love them like us say, well, Google knows it's in their best interest to just get more users, and that will draw more advertisers. So it's interesting. It's a really interesting conversation.
I would hope. I think it would be short-sighted of them to make it be about the advertisers. I don't think there's enough pressure on them at this point to do that.
Right.
So I did a search for SFO to NYC flight, got the ads, but I also got this. which is very Bing-like. And
that one box has been there for a bit.
Has
but
that?
The flights link is on the left-hand menu now.
Ah, so this is no different. I would have to click this link here to get the new.
Right.
Got it. Okay. Interesting. Well, I think this is nicely done.
Yeah, it is.
This is why people were complaining about the ITA acquisition. This was the fear, and
this was it. Yeah.
Yeah, they've done it.
They've done it. It's a beautiful tool, and I actually feel a little bad for Kayak and Hipmunk, which are really great products in their own rights.
I don't know, because I think that's so geeky and engineering looking that if you are used to using Kayak and Hipmunk, Kayak's kind of horrible. But if you're used to, frankly, that's pretty horrible. But if you're used to using Hipmunk, is much prettier. I think that this is where they have to. Their value proposition now has to be, well, it's easier, it's prettier, it's nicer.
I mean, one of my big flight search criteria is whether or not the plane has Wi-Fi. And I actually don't see that here.
Oh, interesting.
I always try to get the especially a cross-country flight is just so much easier with Wi-Fi. I know I sound extremely entitled. Virgin America, Delta, some Delta flights have them.
Because I'm stuck with Continental United.
And I think U.S. Airways, some U.S. Airways flights.
And Google doesn't have a cute little chipmunk either. I think the visualizations on here are pretty good. And by the way, note the little Wi-Fi links, so you can see that on Hipmunk.
Yep.
So there's some value here. I think this is what they have to do. They have to make it prettier, cuter. You know,
I've rarely heard the word "cute" used with Google.
No, and you will never see a chipmunk with goggles on. And things like sort by agony, which is something Hipmunk does, is clever. I don't know how
that
useful,
is clever,
but it's clever. And that's the kind of thing you won't see Google do either.
The Android robot, I think, is the closest they've ever gotten to or kind of a really cute mascot, right?
Which would you rather cuddle, a chipmunk with goggles on, or a robot? Come on.
Right.
Which is more cuddly?
The furry chipmunk.
I think Hipmunk has a chance. I think Kayak might be threatened because they've let their UI become dated. And that's a real threat to them. Let's see. Google lets users opt out of location data collection. That's obviously in response to.
But explain this to me, because what it was saying was that you can opt out of your Wi-Fi being used there, but it said Wi-Fi for use in mobile and cell phones. I didn't get it. I didn't read this story.
This is the blog post. At the request of several European data protection authorities, we are building an opt-out service. Making this opt-out available globally. We'll release more detailed information when it's ready to launch. Well, they're giving you a checkbox, and this is from the European Public Policy blog. So
those guys have a lot of fun.
That's a job for but if you get transferred to that, you pissed Marissa off.
Literally the French Foreign Legion. Yeah.
Yeah, really. Oh no! What's your new assignment? European Public Policy blog. I have to live in Brussels. This does not tell you very much. It tells you about the collection of data. It says, even though the wireless access point signals we use in our location services don't identify people, we think we can go further in protecting people's privacies. At the request of several European data protection authorities, we're building an opt-out service.
If this is your home Wi-Fi and you're not identified with your name, then how do you have the opportunity
wait a minute.
to go in and find your back number?
This allows an access point owner to opt out. So this is not for you already could opt out on the handset. This is saying if I have a Wi-Fi, we have the TWiT Wi-Fi access point. I can now send my MAC address, or probably that's what they'd want, to Google saying, do not use that access point in future collections. It leaves me out of it. That's an interesting opt-out.
But then it says something about your mobile phone. I don't get it.
Well, you can always opt out. You still can opt. You can opt out.
I know that, but I got all confused.
This looks like this is for the access point owners.
It is for the access point, yes.
Once opted out, our services will not use that access point to determine users' locations. Wow, that's weird.
Right. So what that means is that they did the drive-by, no longer themselves. But what's that other company you always told me the name of? I always forget. That catalogs the Skyhook. Thank you. I don't need a brain. I have Google and Leo. So they use that, so they know that when you come in from the brick house, they know where you are. Right. So what you're doing by taking your access point in data out of that list is simply that they will no longer presumptively guess your location. That's it.
Right. No.
Yep.
They won't use you in the guessing of the determination of the location. So I have opted out the TWiT Wi-Fi access spots. By the way, they don't have to be open access spots. They just, see, this is why it's kind of weird. They don't need to do this. I'm broadcasting a signal from my access spots to everywhere within 150 feet of this office. Right. If you're driving by and you can see that signal, you can see the signal.
It's public information.
It's public information. So they've got a GPS address. They see the signal. They say, well, if you can see this signal, then you're within 150 feet of this location. If you could see that signal too, then, well, we'll do this subset and we know where you are. So what I could do now, and this is very German. This is more Blurmany stuff. What I could do as a access point owner is say, well, don't use me in that.
Even though it has no impact on you at all.
Has no impact on me at all, and I'm broadcasting that signal out the window.
And you've taken away the ability for the person going by with a handset to get better targeted stuff, which they might want. So basically, it's just it allows you to be selfish.
Yeah. Now, it probably is in response to the fact that, remember, Google, when they were collecting these access point information, did store bits of data from those access points.
Oh, yeah. I went to, last week, I gave a talk at the Future of Privacy Forum, which is pretty much an industry group. Right, but when I gave the talk, there were a few members. The faces in the room turned so sour they could have garnished a baked potato, you know. And there was this one woman there who was a former FTC commissioner, recently former.
Yeah.
And she went on a tear and on an attack against me about how Google was evil and using all this data from this Wi-Fi. And I said there is no conceivable business model, and she would not buy it. Now, mind you. I don't know whether she was on the FTC when the FTC came to the agreement with Google about Buzz, but this is a person, a government official, who is in very much position to affect Google's business and affect how the internet works for all of us. And ignorant as could be about this Google case, going with the emotional end of it is, oh my God, Google was getting all this data. And I said, yeah, it was a screw up. And you know, I saw Mark from Epic at a panel yesterday, and the same kind of thing. Google the data. It was such a royal screw up because it's being used against Google and against all of us who want some measure of openness constantly.
Oh well.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just glad I don't have to work for the Google European Union blog, policy blog. Hey, let's talk.
Come in the morning. Who hates us today? Slovenia is having a rough day with us.
You have to be a special kind of person. They probably put all the monks, all the very enlightened people get to write for that blog. It's
you know,
okay.
I thought it was interesting. Sorry,
I'm just turning the other cheek. Go ahead.
At this event I went to, and there are a lot of nice people there and good people, but even the folks within a company who are dedicated to privacy, some of them. Their job is so much to scare everyone in their company.
Right.
Their alliance in the industrial regulatory complex of privacy. You have the so-called organization of watchdogs who scare everybody about privacy. And then you have the regulators who make regulations about it, the legislators who make legislation about it, and then the officials in the company who have to protect them, and then the consultants who try to regulate against all this. And it's all this big just tower of fear that's out there. But
it's a tower of fear. And Jeff Jarvis sits astride the top saying, it's okay. It's calm. Calm down. Hey, let's quickly talk about Netflix, then we'll get our tip, tool, and number of the week. But first, a reminder, if you're not a Netflix subscriber, that you can try it free for 30 days by going to netflix.com/twit. If you already are, and I know most of you are, tell a friend, spread the word. Netflix streaming, it's the best deal in entertainment. Just look at, I mean, The Conversation, Gene Hackman, the classic Coppola movie. Oh, what a great movie from 1974. I just watched this documentary about Wilco. I love this. They're recording Yankee Hotel Foxtrot. I love kind of the making of. Here's John Waters' one-man show celebrating the origins of trash. Gotta love that. These are all movies, TV shows, documentaries you can watch tonight if you go to netflix.com/twit. And great for the kids, too. It plays on your iPhone, iPad, all the Android phones now, froyo or later. They've added all of them. Many tablets. What else? Oh, PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, many DVD players, most TVs. I mean, everybody does Netflix now. Because you like the discreet charm of the bourgeoisie, perhaps you'd like Buñuel's Un Chien Andalou.
Aren't you so classy, Leo?
That's probably my daughter. Or maybe 8.5. Or Jean-Luc Godard's A Woman is a Woman. Les Bonnes Femmes. They actually have. Now we're watching La Bonne Femme. I'm sorry. One of the great things about Netflix, they have a lot of international films, which I love. I watched all of the Millennium Saga. The girl with the dragon tattoo, the original Swedish versions.
Yeah, those were good.
Great.
The Swedish ones.
They're a little hardcore. I mean, they're like, boy, yeah, but they're true to the book, which I really liked. Yeah, we're watching Les Bonnes Femmes. So let's watch a little film, and we'll get back to just go to netflix.com/twit. Ce film est interdit au moins de 18 ans. Just so you know.
The chat room is doubting that you're blaming your daughter on this. You're throwing your daughter under the bus here on this. That you're actually the snob.
Actually, I think this is one of those sexy French films. Claude Chabrol. Like a winged
I feel
victory.
like I'm transported back to my sophomore year in college.
I know, isn't this great? Don't you love it? You can watch this anytime you want. I go home, look, De Chevaux. I go home and I watch this stuff and I just feel so continental. Netflix.com. This is our new theme song. It's about as down as the other one. Have we replaced that horrible theme song?
No, because we thought maybe you really liked it.
If I really liked it, I would be the only one who did.
I'm happy to change it.
Yeah, didn't Gina suggest a better song?
We'd gone through some iterations. We should revisit that.
It's been a year or more. My thinking at the time was...
is the Losers song original to Glee?
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
Now, surely they would give us the rights to use that.
We have
Would that be the perfect song?
The guy who does Glee's mixing is a fan.
Right.
Let's ask him.
Oh yeah, we can ask. Yeah, we can ask him.
Wouldn't that be killer?
That would be great.
Right thing for us. Yeah.
That would be it's perfectly for us. Loser Like Me, that one?
Yeah, that's the one.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah, that's us. That's our song. It was the first original. I think it was the
that's
first.
That's not the song. Oh, now here it is.
Hey, everyone you wanna be. Darling, start it off like me. You may say that I'm a freak show. But hey, give it just a little time. I bet you're gonna change your mind. All of the dirt you've been throwing away. It ain't so hard to take. That's right. 'Cause I know.
I think this is our theme song.
Some viewers are getting drunk right now on the drinking game. Habermas Chipotle, there, you're
There, now they're set. I like that song. All the dirt you've been throwing my way, it's so hard to take, because I know one day you'll be screaming my name, and I'll just look away. Just go ahead and hate on me and run your mouth.
It's a great song.
Damn, that's our song.
It's the Losers Anthem. It's the Geek Anthem.
Yeah.
I'll get you back when I'm your boss.
Glee, can we have that, please? We'll give you credit. All right, Gina, your tip of the week.
iOS users, iPad and iPhone users can now get to Google Music. Android users had the Google Music app, but there wasn't a way to play back your music on iOS. But there's now a really kind of slick mobile web app for Google Music. If you just go to music.google.com on your iOS device, or I assume any device with a good browser, it's got this really nice artist. You can play your music back from the cloud. Nice mobile interface, so it works great. So you don't have to sync your iTunes.
It's in Safari.
It's in Safari, yeah. It's a web app. It's totally a web app, but it's really nice interface, and you don't have to manually sync your music from iTunes to your phone anymore, your iPhone anymore. You can just stream straight from Google Music in the browser.
Neato. Thank you, Google Music, for doing that, because we know Apple didn't do it.
Right.
Jeff Jarvis, your number of the week, my friend.
I'm going to do two. One is a follow-up to last week's discussion with Kevin Marks about Orkut, and it turns out that in the meantime, Google has surpassed. Facebook has surpassed Google's Orkut in Brazil.
Interesting.
Facebook has 30.9 million users versus Orchid's 29 million users in Brazil. And what effect does that have on Orchid? Well, a lot, because 90% of Orchid's page views are from Brazil. So the saw that it's so big in India. Well, no, it's mainly big in Brazil. Brazil, you should do a Brazilian show, Leo. You should all in Portuguese. It's the most fascinating country to me because things take off there online. It never gets credit for this. It's a very cyber nation. The first and only licensee of Blogger was Brazil. Photolog, started by Scott Heifman, was huge in Brazil. Orchid took off before social networking. Brazilians are nuts about this. All right, that's my informational number from last week. The other number that I kind of love is Robert Scoble. His new job description in my mind is envelope pusher. As soon as subscription comes up, what does he do? Right? He goes for numbers and he subscribes. He says, already 168 people are subscribed to me, but this is the part I love. He subscribed to 30 people and Facebook rate limited him and said he was acting bad.
Robert will break it. If it's breakable, Robert will break it.
No, I love that.
Somebody just in the chat room sent me this link. Is this a Chipotle ad? What is this? It's a Radiohead song, right?
I think I've seen this. Yes.
Oh, boy.
Am I going to be sorry I played this?
No, I don't think so. No.
Oh, it's about how Chipotle takes care of their animals.
Oh.
Exactly. Yeah, we don't see them be killed and turned into burritos. But
Willie Nelson playing Coldplay.
I was just guessing at numbers and figures.
Is this are these pigs going to end up at... Well, wait, come on now. Oh, dear. Is this an anti-Chipotle ad? Oh, dear.
Oh, my.
That's not unkind.
Nobody said it was easy. It's such a shame.
It's pretty.
For us to part. Nobody said it was easy.
Oh, he's sad about his pigs.
No one ever.
Was he going to take an antidepressant? What's this all about? It's very strange.
He's thinking about his pigs all caged.
I'm going back to the start.
Oh, let them out. Let them all out.
Free them. Free
Free
them.
the pigs.
Free-range pigs in my burritos. Only.
Oh, look at that. They still squish them into square pills before they send them to Chipotle, but at least they've had a good life in the little Chipotle. I don't know. I think it's best for a food manufacturer to just kind of pretend the food doesn't come from anywhere. Because I don't really want to think about that. Cultivate a better world. Good for you, Chipotle. They still haven't paid us a penny, but they just got a full ad.
I suddenly feel a little better about the free advertising.
At least it's free-range Chipotle.
Yeah, exactly.
So here is my my tool. It's actually a site based on Google Maps that I think you guys will like called What Was There? WhatWasThere.com. Let's put in New York City, and I'll show you how it works. It ties pictures of historic places to their locale on Google Maps. So let's say the Woolworth building under construction. And what you can do, which is cool, is you can take the street view and superimpose on the street view. I can fade the picture out just a little bit here. Superimpose, there's the current Woolworth building. You can superimpose the picture on top of its actual street view.
How do they do that?
Isn't that cool?
That is neat.
Jesus.
City Hall Park. And if we fade it out, you can see it today and in the past. Isn't that cool? I just love this. San Francisco has some good places. That's P.T. Barnum's American Place, which is, of course, gone now. And that's what's in its place. Just kind of fun. It's called whatwasthere.com. You can upload your own photos to it. They encourage you to do this. Here's one for you, Gina. This is the Brooklyn Bridge, actually shot from the tower at the World Trade Center. You can,
oh, wow. Nice.
fade it out. So there's nothing there now, but that's pretty cool. Here's a hat. I don't really know why that's there. Here's Broadway in the 1900s. That's,
cool.
That's Broadway, and there it is today. Isn't that
That
cool?
looks really nice. Yeah, that looks really cool.
Really a fun thing. What was there.com? And there's actually an iPhone app that goes with that. Gina Trapani is at smarterwear.org. Really great to have you, Gina. Just
Great show today.
Adore you. Gina Trapani on Twitter and Google+. And subscribe to her if she ever allows us to.
If I allow subscribers.
We don't know yet. It may never happen.
I'll keep you on the edge of your seat. I know all of you on your edge of your seat about that.
Or don't. Just follow her public page.
Meanwhile, Leo and I just jump in the pool after
We
school.
don't care. We live in public. I don't
me.
care. We'll circle Gina. That's what we'll do. Jeff Jarvis is at buzzmachine.com, a great blog. Both of you have wonderful blogs that are worth reading every single day. And his new book, Any Day Now. Any day now, public parts will emerge. That's not the way to put it. Zip up your fly. Thank you, sir. And we'll see y'all later. No, that's good. Play it. That's good. Let's go. This is our theme song. Goodbye, everybody. We do this show every Wednesday, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern at live.twit.tv. I hope you will join us to watch it live, if not catch it. We're all just nice losers on this show. See you later. Bye-bye.
In a long time.
You need to be Fred. You see, I think if you ever do an episode where you stick in sound effects like Fred.
Yeah, we have sound effects. I have a complete collection.
We just need to load them in the TriCaster. Like, we've got crickets.
You can do that when I start going off on some boring thing.
And then the rim shot.
Of course.
So yeah, I gotta preload the stuff.